Let's talk about the Tupinambás, an indigenous group with a rich and fascinating history. Their name reminds us of Brazil's long-ago history, especially along the coast, where they thrived for centuries. Before Europeans arrived, these native people lived in the rainforests, their lives deeply connected to nature and the land around them. Their story, even though we don't know all of it, shows us a really interesting culture, rich with traditions, rituals, and a deep understanding of their environment. The Tupinambás weren't just one big group, but lots of smaller tribes that moved around along the coast, each with its own unique customs and ways of life. They spoke different versions of the Tupi language, like different accents, which helped them communicate and trade with each other. Their villages, usually built near rivers, show how well they knew the forest and how they used the natural resources around them to survive and thrive. The Tupinambás, like many native people, really respected nature. They had a profound spiritual connection to the land, believing that every part of it was alive and sacred. They felt like a part of it, connected to the animals, plants, and even the air. This connection influenced their daily lives, their art, and their stories. Even though it's not always obvious, their history still affects Brazil today. The legacy of the Tupinambás can be seen in the culture, language, and traditions that continue to shape the country. The Tupinambás lived in villages called aldeias, sometimes with hundreds of people. These aldeias were not just places to live but were the heart of their social and cultural life. These communities, usually led by a chief, worked together and shared things. The chief played a crucial role in maintaining harmony and organizing communal activities. Families helped each other and shared food, all working together. Meals were communal events, strengthening bonds and ensuring everyone was cared for. Farming was super important to the Tupinambás. They used traditional techniques passed down through generations to cultivate their land. They grew cassava, a root vegetable, as their main food. Cassava was versatile and could be prepared in many ways, making it a staple in their diet. They also ate corn, beans, squash, and fruits from the forest. These crops provided a balanced diet and were cultivated with great care. They were really good farmers and knew a lot about the rainforest. Their knowledge of the land allowed them to grow a variety of crops sustainably. Hunting and fishing were also important. These activities provided essential protein and were integral to their way of life. Hunters would go deep into the forest, and fishermen used nets in the rivers and ocean. They employed techniques that had been refined over centuries. These weren't just ways to get food, they were important traditions passed down through families. Teaching these skills to the younger generation was a vital part of their culture. The Tupinambás had strong spiritual beliefs that were deeply woven into their daily lives and cultural practices. They believed in a world beyond ours, filled with spirits that influenced their existence in profound ways. Special leaders, known as shamans, had the unique ability to communicate with these spirits, acting as intermediaries between the physical and spiritual realms. They held elaborate ceremonies, interpreted dreams, and provided healing to those who were sick, using their spiritual knowledge and rituals. One aspect of the Tupinambás culture that is particularly challenging for us to understand is their practice of consuming their enemies. However, this act was not driven by cruelty or malice. They believed that by eating certain parts of their enemies, they could absorb their strength and bravery, making themselves more powerful. This was a deeply serious and spiritual practice, rooted in their belief system and worldview. Although it may seem strange or even disturbing to us, the Tupinambás' beliefs and practices offer a window into how they understood the world around them. It serves as a reminder that different cultures have their own unique ways of interpreting and interacting with the world. By striving to understand their beliefs, even when they differ greatly from our own, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the rich diversity of human experience. When Europeans arrived in the 1500s, everything changed for the Tupinambás. The Portuguese, who wanted land and treasure, met the Tupinambás while exploring Brazil. At first, they were just curious about each other, but that didn't last long because the Portuguese were greedy. They wanted the land and made the Tupinambás work on sugar farms. New diseases from Europe also made many native people very sick. The Tupinambás fought hard against the Portuguese. They attacked and tried to protect their homes. But their weapons weren't as strong as the Europeans' guns. Sadly, many Tupinambás died, and their culture was almost lost. Even though the Tupinambás went through very hard times, their traditions didn't disappear completely. You can still see their influence in Brazil today. Their language, Tupi, added many words to Portuguese, especially words for plants, animals, and traditions. Brazilian food also comes from the Tupinambás. Cassava, which they ate a lot, is still popular. Dishes like moqueca, a seafood stew, and tapioca come from native recipes. The story of the Tupinambás reminds us that native cultures are strong. Even after many years of hardship, their traditions are still alive in Brazil. It's important to remember their story, learn from the past, and respect native people everywhere.